What's up, y'all? Welcome to Comic Book Addicts. This is episode 18. Hope everybody's doing all right today. It's Monday, May 8th, and it's the start of a brand new week, and I hope everybody's week is off to a good start so far. Let's see who we have in the comments with us this evening. We got Tony, Comiverse. He says, good evening, everyone. What's up, Tony? I hope you're doing well, man. We have Adam, Collecting with Durs. Durs recently hit 1,000 subscribers on YouTube, y'all. And he'll be doing a giveaway. I'm sure he'll announce that shortly. But he recently hit 1,000 subscribers, and that is awesome. I wanted to congratulate him. Congratulations, Durs. He also does a live stream every Sunday at 6 p.m. So be sure you tune in for that because it's a lot of fun. It's just like a community hangout, but it's a lot of fun. Let's see who else we have. We got Frank's BS. He says, what's up? What's up, Frank? I'm glad that you can make it. But yeah, hope everybody's week has been started off really well so far. From what I've been seeing, everybody's been out to see Guardians over the weekend, the new Guardians of the Galaxy. I haven't had a chance to see it yet, but I've heard good things so far. Have any of you guys seen it? Got to see it over the weekend? Let me know in the comments. We got Dr. Von Hoot. What's up, man? He says, evening all. I hope you're doing well. Glad you could make it out. But anyways, let's go ahead and get into the news because I want to we got a good guest tonight, y'all. But anyways, comic book community news. We got the CBC Awards. They open this coming Saturday, May 13th. To find the ballot, you go to www.cbcawards.org. And you can also find any information or updates by following CBC Awards on Instagram. And spread the word and make your opinion be known. Nominate the channels that you want to see nominated. But anyways, that's this Saturday, May the 13th. My 1K subscriber giveaway will be taking place on Saturday, May the 27th. And that's going to be at 8 p.m. Eastern time. We're giving away a lot of really cool prizes. There's going to be a bunch of cool people hanging out. I'm giving away one CBC S98 slab and one CGC gold label slab and a bunch of other really cool prizes. But that's going to be on May 27th at 8 p.m. Let's see. What else do I have? Oh, I wanted to congratulate Dale from Dales of Suspense. He did his 500 subscriber giveaway the other day. And I wanted to congratulate him. And if you have never checked out his channel, be sure to go check out Dale of Suspense. I think he's well on his way to 600 now. But anyways, next week, Marcus will be back to hang out. And he's going to help me welcome special guest Tristan Gallagher. If you're not familiar with Tristan Gallagher, he is the co-creator of Rad Wraith, which is a really, really cool comic book on Black Caravan. So if you've never checked out that title, go check it out. It's an awesome book. But he's going to be on the show next week, hanging out with me and Marcus. So it's going to be a lot of fun. Be sure that after the show, you guys tune into Between the Lines. I was trying to see whose channel. I think it's going to be on Roscoe's channel this week. If I'm wrong, let me know in the comments. I think it's over on Geek Out with Roscoe, but they're having special guest Rambling Rob on the show tonight. That's going to be a lot of fun. If you have anything that you want me to share, hit me up on Instagram. I'd be glad to share it on the community news segment of the show. But let's go ahead and get this music cut off so we can bring out the special guest tonight, because I have a really cool guest tonight. Tonight's kind of going to be a recovery related show. Tonight's guest is not only a really kind and intelligent human being, but she's also a professional in recovery, in the recovery field, who helps save lives on a daily basis. I credit her for playing a major role in my recovery, especially early on. And I was very grateful when she accepted my invitation to join us and hang out tonight. So guys, help me welcome Charlotte onto the live stream. Hey, how are you, Charlotte?
I'm good, Scott. How are you?
I'm doing well. I'm glad that you could be here with us tonight, hanging out and talking recovery.
I'm really excited to be here. I was really glad when you asked me.
Yeah. I'm super excited. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, Charlotte Gaston, obviously. I'm a residential counselor, which is inpatient at CADIS. Um, Before that, I was intensive outpatient counselor and assistant. I
Mhm.
worked in the MAT program, medication assisted treatment.
Yeah.
Before that, I was a residential technician, which is the worst paid and hardest working position in CADIS, and the most fun. And before that, I was a client at CADIS. Um, I had been sober for years, actually, and I relapsed. And Cadis was my last stop to get back in recovery. And I ran the whole loop. I did my residential stay here. I went to the halfway house. I did MAT, was on Vivitrol. I got into the sober living apartments. There's a sober living residence here.
Mhm.
And I was still living there when I had a year and a half sober, and they hired me. I badgered them to get a job here because it's what I wanted to do. So yeah, that's the short version.
And so now how long do you have clean?
5.5 years. Almost.
Wow, that is amazing. 5.5
Yeah,
years.
and it blows my mind, honestly. It's not the longest I've had, but it's definitely the best.
And you were
Um,
telling me you've been at Cadis now for what, 4 years?
4 years. It's 4 years today, actually, and it's
That's
mind
awesome.
blowing. It's 4 years today, and I've been in the residential unit for a year this week or last week. And I just can't believe the time blows by. I mean, day to day, it feels like time slogs along, but I can't believe how fast it's gone.
Yeah, because you were actually one of the people that helped me a lot when I came through rehab.
Wow.
That's where I was fortunate enough to meet you. You and Mike Webb played a large role in teaching me a lot of the things that I use to this day to stay sober and clean and stay away from all that bad stuff. And
Man,
I credit you guys for a lot of that. You were
you're
there when I came through. I mean, it was
yeah. How
awesome.
much time do you have now?
Let's see. It would 3 years, January 6th. So February, March, April, May, June, 3.5 years, close to 3.5 years.
Close to 3.5 years. Yep, man,
Yeah.
that's crazy. That is crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. It's awesome.
Hmm.
But yeah, like I learned a lot of the tools that I use, like playing the tape through. That's the main thing that I use that I learned from you guys in that class that you and Mike taught is the whole playing the tape through thing.
Talking about
Um,
that today with some clients. Yeah.
Yeah, explain that. Explain that to the people. I know it's kind of an unplanned. I didn't expect to.
No,
I wasn't
man.
planning on asking you that, but
No, it's
could you
cool. Just
explain?
go wherever.
Because that was something that
Um,
helped me a lot.
we were talking about that today. So, in fact, I was talking about relapse prevention in class today. I've got a bunch of people who have like either relapsed after a long time sober or brand new people who've never been in treatment before. And we were talking about how we start relapsing way before we use. And no matter what, whether we've been clean before or we've never tried to get clean before, we're always trying to get back to, our brain will try to lie to us and get us back to that one first high or that one first whenever it was when it used to work. Like
Hmm.
back when we were successful, back when it was fun, that one time, 5 years ago or 20 years ago when we used to be good at it. And we remember that so well because that's when it was good. That's when it felt good. And so
Yeah.
I think that I can do that again, especially if it's been a while since I've used or drank or whatever. And so my brain's like, there's this one thing I didn't try. And so I'm going to go try that. Or I'll think maybe I didn't try hard enough, or maybe it was the wrong people I was around, or maybe I just didn't give it hell enough trying. Whatever it is, I remember how good that felt so clearly. And I don't remember clearly enough how bad it sucked at the end. How bad I hurt my family, how broke I was, how under the bridge I was living, how bad it sucked to detox in jail, how hard it was to drag my ass into treatment, how all that stuff,
Yeah.
like how homeless I was, how long I was homeless, how hard it was to get a job, how much money it took to get my teeth fixed, all that stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if I play the tape all the way through, I'm like, yeah, will the first one feel good? Absolutely. The first 2 or 3 might feel good. But then there's the rest of it. There's the rest of it. I do not have the capacity anymore to do it successfully, not for any amount of time. I will end up at best back in the admissions office. That's at best. That's if I stay alive. That's if I don't end up in prison.
Yeah,
So.
and a lot of people aren't fortunate enough to make it back, and I know me and you both have seen that firsthand. So many people aren't fortunate enough to make it back.
Yeah.
It's really sad. But anyways, what is it exactly is it that you do at Cadis?
Well, this is the first time that I've been a primary counselor, which means I'm the main counselor for people who are just coming in. So I'm on the residential unit, which is the inpatient unit. Clients who first come in either come into detox or into residential. Either way, they live here.
Yes.
So they live here. I come to their house every day.
Mm-hmm.
And I've got my office, and they hang out and do stuff all day here in their house. And so whatever they need all day long from here, I help them with it. They also have what we call a small group, which is group therapy, at least once a day. On Thursdays, it's twice. I'm their counselor. And so anywhere from 5 to 10 of them in a group at a time meet with me. And mostly I'm just in here to keep any kind of chaos at bay, to kind of keep the bumpers out. The clients help each other more than I ever will, honestly, I think. I give it a little direction and a little, oomph. But the clients help each other. I'm like mom. They rarely listen to me, at least not overtly. They're like, okay, yeah, whatever, teacher.
You do a lot. You do a lot more than you realize.
I hope so. But it's nice when they hear each other say it, when they hear it from their ears. It makes a difference.
You can always relate to another someone similar to yourself or in a similar situation.
Yeah.
Well, what got you into the recovery field exactly?
Man, I'll tell you, when I got sober the first time, when I first started, which was like 20 years ago. I'm an old head, so a long time ago. There was this tech at the very first treatment center I went to in Atlanta, and I went in, and my former family-in-law, dropped me off, and I hear this door close and slam and lock behind me, and I'm just petrified. And I knew I was going to die there because there's no alcohol, there's no drugs, my family's gone, they've left me to die there, and I don't know how I'm going to survive without any chemicals.
Yeah.
And that's it. I don't know how I'm going to survive without substances. No idea. And this one tech starts talking to me. I do not remember the words. There's no way. I was too messed up. I was already shaking from withdrawals. And he got it across to me that he had been there before. And he had to say it a few times. I do remember that.
Yeah.
But he's like, no, I've been there. I came here to treatment. I remember him saying that. And I was like, oh. He was the first person that I met, that I connected with, who let me know that there's a way to survive, to get to the other side. Like this doesn't kill you. You don't have to die doing this. Because I was sure I was going to die.
Yeah.
Absolutely certain. And I felt so much relief in that moment. No medicine yet, no bed, no nothing, no shower. Nothing was settled, except that I knew that guy didn't die getting sober. And as soon as I had any cognition working, I was like, I've got to do that for somebody. I have to do that for somebody someday. Worst mistake I made the whole time I was sober, that first number of years, was that I never did that. I knew I wanted to work in the recovery field, and I never did it until this time around. So, yeah. As soon as I got into treatment this time when I came to Cadis, I was like, I don't know what I've been doing. I don't know what I've been doing, wasting my time with all these, I don't know, stupid things I've been doing. I immediately asked someone, what do I have to do to work in treatment? And they said, you just need to be sober a year. Blew my mind. That's,
And
I
I
was
mean,
like, is that all? Is that all? So,
and
yeah.
you're doing it. I mean,
Yeah.
I think that you found your calling because you do an amazing job there. You
Man,
really
I
do.
love it. I love it so much. It's insane, but but I love it so much. I did. I applied as soon as I had a year sober, and they would not let me come that year because I hadn't been out of all the programs for a year yet. That's actually
Oh,
an add-on to the rule. So I
okay.
had to wait a little longer. Um,
Okay. Yeah, I didn't know about that.
Yep. Yep. They want you to wait a little till you've been out of everything for a year.
Okay.
Yep.
Oh. Well, what's it like to do that type of work day in and day out?
Exhausting.
I would imagine so.
It is. The first thing it's a lot of things. I love it. I would, anybody who wants to try it, I recommend they try it. Like anybody who is drawn to it, you'll know
Yeah.
really quickly if it's for you or not. Because if you get like worn out, if you feel like punching somebody in the face, it's like, this might not be for you.
Yeah.
Because I can see why it would just grate on somebody.
Yeah.
It fills my soul. This is not a job you're going to get rich doing. You're just not. Um, and that's okay with me.
Hmm.
Uh, I have, I kind of downgrade my lifestyle so that it matches my income for work. Not so much that I'm uncomfortable. I just, you know, I make it to where I live inside my income. But the thing is that I don't seem to need as much. This fills me up a lot, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, it does make sense.
Um, I get a lot out of it. Also, it's ridiculous. Before I did this for a living for many many years, when I was sober before, I worked in uh, restaurants, banquets, catering. One
Okay.
of my favorite things about that was it was unpredictable. You never knew what to expect. It was different every day. I really liked that aspect of it.
Yeah.
Same. I get a lot of that.
Okay.
Except it's with, you know, you know, newly sober people, which is even more interesting.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. That's
and
saying
then,
the least.
yeah, to say that that's putting it very gingerly, I guess. And then the tired part is the emotional part. There's a lot of that.
Does
Um,
it ever take its toll on you mentally?
yeah, I mean, yeah, it really does. I have
Mhm.
to. I have to. Man, I thought it was because I'm getting old that I get tired, and all my coworkers are like, no, it's just hard work. My boss, all of my bosses are like, no, it's just hard emotionally and psychologically. It is because, well, and newly sober people don't have any boundaries because they can't. They're just balls to the wall, 90 miles a minute, all the time. Need. Emotions are raw. Everything's just
Mhm.
out there in the open, and that's normal. That's
Mhm.
what they're supposed to do.
Yeah.
It's my job to guard me. So I'm like, ninja boundaries, kind of trying to guard myself.
Yeah. Yeah.
And but that's the tired part. As soon as I walk out the door, I'm like, oh, God, man, they were needy today. Um,
So what are
but
some
that
things that you do like to keep yourself in check?
um, so when I come in here, I have to, I don't know, I get up early in the morning before I come here. That's the first thing I do. Like I get
Okay.
up really early. I have plenty of time before I get here, and it's not hard on me. I get up like 2.5 hours before I have to be here in the morning. Like I can go for a walk. I have time for plenty of coffee.
Yeah.
Um, I need lots of time before I come in here because I need to wake up and remember who I am before I come in here to talk to them.
That makes a lot of sense to me. I do the same thing, actually.
Do you?
Yeah, I do.
I feel like if I just rolled out of bed and didn't have my head clear and myself like situated, that I might end up barking at somebody or coming out sideways, and they don't need that shit from me. It's not professional. Plus, they're like, my clients know I'm sober. I don't hide that from anybody.
Mhm.
They don't have the whole gory story, but they know I'm sober. I feel like it's not many of the counselors in residential are, so I feel like it's, I don't know, it's an extra tool in my belt.
Yeah.
So for me, I don't want to be an example of sobriety they see and be coming at them all sideways, just because I'm in a bad mood. Oh yeah, physical work is one thing, mental, emotional, stressful work is another. That comment from Brian,
Yeah,
absolutely,
absolutely, Brian.
absolutely, man. I have never been. I used to work my ass off in restaurants, and this is exhausting. So I don't want to be the example of sobriety they see and see me off kilter.
Yeah, that makes
I
sense.
still go to lots of meetings, a lot of meetings. I have a network. I talk to them all the time, every day. There's at least 2 people that I talk to every single day.
Okay.
I've got like a team. It's not just like a sponsor. I need more than that. I'm kind of
Just
a
a whole
mess.
crew.
A whole crew. I mean, I hate to sound needy, but yeah. I
Well, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to ask, what are some things about your job that you love, though? Like, what?
Oh God. Watching the light come on is one thing. I got to see more of that in IOP, but this thing happens when somebody turns a corner about anything, about when they decide that they might like themselves enough to stop dying today.
Okay.
When they might not immediately go back to that tragic home situation, when they might go to transitional housing instead of going right back out onto the streets, which they were absolutely going to do.
Yeah.
They'll take IOP instead of just, nah, I've got this, it'll be fine. Just any decision that somebody makes that lets them show up for themselves. I don't know how to explain it. In IOP, like intensive outpatient, for anybody who doesn't know what that is, people are a little further down the line. You can see that more. People are further along and they're like, they're having bigger successes. They're getting jobs. Some of them are getting their license back. It's bigger stuff. So in here, it's like these mini moments. Like they realize they're not a terrible person. Like they realize, like the first time somebody realizes, oh shit, this is a disease. Like I'm not a shitty person. This is like, I have to make decisions from here on out, but this is brain chemistry. I'm not just an asshole. My whole family might still call me an asshole, but that's their problem. And so at least I know I'm not just an asshole, and we'll deal with the rest of that, chaotic family stuff later.
Yeah. All that takes time.
It does. And that's in that one moment though, like they can fight for themselves at that point, because if you think you're garbage, you're not going to fight very hard for yourself.
Yeah.
So I love that kind of stuff. That and I don't know, taking clients outside. Just you get clients on furlough from jail who haven't been outside in a couple of months. Man, they're like toddlers. It's great.
See, I got to see it from both sides because I don't know, my story was kind of weird because when I initially came in, I came in on my own free will.
Yep.
But 2 weeks into my CADIS stay, I had a court date and I ended up having to go. I got booked and went to jail.
That's right.
And then I got furloughed back for the rest of my rehab stay. So I was there for both reasons.
Oh, I forgot all about that. Oh my
Yeah.
God.
Yeah. They locked my
Oh,
ass up and I had to get furloughed back. Yeah.
man, we get
Yeah.
so many furloughed people too. Oh my God.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I think
I
about 3
was
of
so
them.
grateful to be back though when I was able to get out, and I'm like, yes, I'm doing it now. I don't want to go back anymore.
Man, you wouldn't think anybody would want to go back, but I've had
Hell
some
no.
people. I've had some people. They're like, you
Oh,
know what? Just let me do my time. I'm like, okay, if you want to.
man, I'd rather be anywhere than county jail. I'm
So,
sorry.
so would any sane person, you would think. But all
Well, what are
right.
some things that you hate about the job?
Oh God, I hate when people die.
Yeah.
When it
Yeah.
happens
Yeah, it does. A
a
lot.
lot. Um,
I lost my best friend when I was
yeah,
there with you guys. I lost my best friend from
yeah,
rehab. I mean, you know him.
I do.
I'm sure you
I miss
know.
him. I
Yeah,
miss him.
it sucks. I mean,
It does. I hate. It's hard. It's hard to put a finger on it. I hate when I have to discharge somebody. Um, and I still like I can hear my boss in my head right now. They discharge themselves. Yeah, they do.
yes,
They
absolutely.
do.
Yeah.
Um,
That's not on you guys.
it's not. But to tell somebody, listen, I can't. We can't keep you here because it's not fair to everybody else. Your behavior says you have to go,
Hmm.
and I have to take out of my head whether they've got furlough, DCS, they have any place to go or not. Like that's not on me. Like we give way too many warnings, to be honest, and people want to push it, or they can't help but push it. Um,
Yeah.
and then I hear in the back of my head again, it's like, how do you know that this isn't the thing they need to turn them around? So but I still hate having to do it. I really do. I don't like it any more than I did having to fire people when I was a manager.
Yeah, I'm
Um,
sure that sucks. It's
mhm.
shitty part of the job. But
It
I mean,
is.
you guys, you give I mean, you really have to be messing up bad and just not doing the program to
You
get
do.
kicked out of there.
You
I mean,
do, because we don't want anybody to fail. We don't want anybody to fail. We would
right.
rather, man, all you got to give me is like 25%, 30%. I'll give you the others. If 30% is all you've got to give, I got 70 for you all day long, any day of the week. I really do.
Well, do you feel like things have gotten better or worse in the time that you've worked in recovery?
Man, I hate to say it, but it's gotten worse. It's
Really?
gotten worse. Yeah, it really has. I think COVID was a hammer. I really do. I think the acuity is worse too. We're seeing a lot of heavy mental health come
Hmm.
in, um, and we're seeing a lot of people who relapsed after a good bit of time. And we are seeing a lot of people cycling faster back in and out.
Yeah,
Um, but but COVID was hard on people. There
it
were a lot.
was.
It was really hard on people. There were a lot of people who lost jobs and therefore lost insurance and therefore lost their medications. We had people come in who had been long term on MAT medications
Hmm.
and went back to shooting heroin,
Yep.
or pills or whatever they could get a hold of, who had been on maintenance medication for ages.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they can't afford their medication, their maintenance medication, without insurance. And we know what's cheaper than anything.
Hmm. We
Yeah,
lost those meetings too, the in-person meetings. I
yeah,
mean, they were still having them on Zoom, but to me, the in-person meetings have the most impact. Like
I
it's not the
absolutely agree.
yeah, it's not the same doing it over Zoom to me.
I agree. I knew for a while, for like the first year and a half, I knew people who had been sober that whole time who'd never been to an in-person meeting ever,
Wow.
which was weird to me because I
Mhm.
hated Zoom meetings. I hated them.
Yeah, me too. Because I feel like a good in-person meeting is instrumental in to someone that wants to stay sober and be. I don't know. To me, you got to go to an in-person meeting if you want to stay sober. You need those meetings.
I agree. Do you remember when Mike Webb would say that the opposite of addiction was connection? Did he ever
Yeah,
say that to you? Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
And it was I run into that so much, examples of it, and in-person meetings to me are an example of that. I try to remember to tell my clients that, um, because to me, I feel like that was lost during COVID. People were so isolated, and I
Mhm.
think people who never really it made a lot of it finished off a lot of people who were potential addicts, potential alcoholics, people with mental health issues and stuff. I think it kind of pushed them over the edge, and that loss of connection really messed some people up. So,
Absolutely. Yeah, it did. Um, well, what are some of the reasons that you think that it's gotten worse over time? Like, what would you attribute that to?
I think a loss. Speaking of connection, I think a loss of connection, like face to face in general, like genuine connection, like this
Yeah,
kind of stuff. Actually talking to people. We've got where is it? These things all the time,
yeah,
but genuinely connecting to people. There's research and studies that say we have fewer friends. Um, as a rule, each person has fewer friends now than we've ever had, and more floor space in our homes than we've ever had. No one to invite over. So, like, what good does that do us?
right.
Um, and we're addicted to more things. We start out in life like putting our littles on a screen and getting them hacking away at stuff. And I mean, I do it too. I've got games on this thing, and but we disconnect. You know, we
Yeah,
can be out in public and yet looking down at our phones. Um, and I wonder how many of us like us, you and I, maybe we know that we need to connect with each other,
hmm,
but people out in the world who might not know that they're potentials or whatever, they don't know they're supposed to reach out and connect with people. So they just go along with the flow of staying
yeah,
disconnected. And so something goes wrong in their life. They run into a tragedy, they lose a job, they lose a relative. Who are they going to connect to? I mean, it's not Facebook friends. You're not going to call them. Like, you need people flesh to flesh. You need somebody to come to your house. You need to have somebody you're willing to cry with or throw things with.
hmm,
And I think we have less of that today. I
yeah,
think people are
definitely.
and I think people are touchy and sensitive, and they're not allowed to say what they can say or have their tribe around where they can say those things to each other.
Yeah,
Um, I think that's made it worse. I really do. Um, I think that's part of it.
yeah, I would agree. Definitely. Well, over the 4 years that you've worked in recovery, like, what are some of the craziest things that you've seen?
Oh, man.
Like some Jerry Springer shit.
Oh my God. So,
Because I know you've seen it. I know you've seen some.
you know I have, man. Okay, so we had the drug dogs came in the other day. That was fun.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it was great.
Okay.
Um, oh, social pheromones by interacting in person. That's a good point. Um, we had the drug dogs come in, and people just freak right out. That's normal everyday stuff around here, and that's what cracks me up. Is like that's my level of normal now. Is that we had to organize the entire day so that all the clients are at the other end of the building, so that we can do what? Have the drug dogs come in and just take a little sweep around. Because why? Because 3 or 4 people are planning to casually have drugs brought in to the
Yeah.
residential unit.
Thrown over the fence or
Yeah, yeah. Yeah.
Visitation day.
I cannot think of anything worse than being high in rehab, especially on meth.
Oh my God.
That
That
sounds
would be
terrible.
horrible.
I know, I know. But I'm thinking like if I got drugs left, why am I going to come here? Or if I have any way of getting any drugs, why would I have them here? Go outside and do them. This would be terrible
I
place
mean,
to be
like,
high.
why are you even there at that
I don't
point?
know,
I
man.
mean, if you're planning stuff like
I don't
that.
know. I've seen, man, I have seen people jumped. I saw someone get stabbed.
Because you do have people being furloughed from jail into
Absolutely. Absolutely. You wouldn't believe the amount of time it doesn't take to have sex and the places people will do it. It is.
I believe it.
It is. This is not the place. This is not the place. The number of Cadis babies that I personally am aware of is upsetting, to be honest. Um, just stupid. People raising hell and this big screaming diatribe of I'm leaving and I'm never coming back and blah blah and leaving out the front door and then realizing they don't have any of their stuff, they don't have any money, they don't have a phone, they made a big mistake and like turning back around and they're like, can I get my stuff? They're losing their minds over not getting a cigarette break, like right that damn minute. Stupid stuff. Food fights. It's juvenile stuff, but when I see it, I'm thinking, aren't these people 40? What the hell are they doing? It's nuts. It's nuts. What was that? People. We had to tell some guy to get back in his room the other day because he was walking around like mostly undressed, and I'm like, this is not okay. This is not.
Yeah, that's not cool.
It seems like low. I don't even know. It doesn't really even faze me anymore. I think the fact that it's the mental health and the substance abuse that's mixed in is all very interesting, and it's hard to like tease the two apart. I used to think that there was some magic thing that you would know, like when you had enough experience, like you'd be able to tell, well, this person has this and this person has that, and that's what that means. We don't know. There's no magical, any kind of knowledge that lets you know that's what that is when this person's walking up and down the hall doing that. There's not. You just can't tell. People walking around talking to themselves. It could be a psychotic break. They could just be angry. It's really hard to tell. So we're usually as baffled as anybody else.
Yeah.
But
what is it like? I don't know. Does it come? The people that are acting like that, are they normally like on a specific type thing? Like
well, okay, so it's usually methamphetamine has the most, I don't know, has the most problematic
like
kind
of induces psychosis.
Yes, and it's hard to tell, like, is this post-acute withdrawal syndrome, like the long withdrawn, are they just taking their time getting a little better, or is this mental health, or are they stuck? Like, and it's really hard to tell. One of the worst issues, I think, is when someone who's still in active meth addiction going to a psychiatrist and getting a diagnosis. That is a terrible idea. Don't do that because they're on meth. You can't tell. That happens all the time. But also people who have like serious mental health issues use meth to try to self-medicate. So
which is a horrible idea. It's a really bad idea.
It will be unsuccessful. I'll tell you that right now. It's not going to help you out at all. It's going to make it worse. I had a client not too long ago was one of the first actual DID clients that I've ever had, and that was interesting. They were fascinating. It was a very fascinating client. They were aware of their diagnosis, and I would watch them shift right in front of me. It was the wildest thing I had ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
But they did not disclose at first, and I'm thinking it was like meth-induced psychosis. I had no idea what was going on. I was like, I don't know if they need to be here. Who knows?
What do you feel like are some of the harder drugs to treat?
Meth is one of them for that reason. I feel I have a lot of empathy for people coming off meth if meth is their primary, because meth has the highest dopamine hit of all of the major drugs, and therefore it takes the longest for a brain to re-regulate its dopamine output.
Okay.
It does re-regulate, but I have to tell my clients when they ask, like, how long is it going to take for the world to stop looking gray? You know, like everything's just different shades of gray. And I have to tell them the truth. I'm like, you're going to have to hang in there for about a year. And that's just the truth. Everybody else gets some let up between 3 to 6 months at least.
Yeah.
But it takes every bit of a year to get like the lows and highs back, to really get some oomph back in life, to get it back in life, to get like some of the rainbow back. It's just that feeling that nothing's ever going to feel good or bad or up or down anymore. It feels like it's never going to end.
And there's no MAT program like when it comes to amphetamines, right? There's no alternate.
They're working on it. They're working on it hard. And there's some anecdotal evidence for Vivitrol for meth. They are working on it hard. I would do backflips for some MAT for meth. I think opiates are really hard. I'm so grateful for MAT because of how much it helps, because of the length of time that really strong cravings can hit opiate addicts. Those can go on and hit out of nowhere for 6 months, a year. And just because of the amount of time people can do opiates, long-term opiate addicts for 10 and 20 years do not need to go to 28 days of treatment and then just go to some NA meetings. That is a terrible idea.
Yeah, that is a terrible idea.
And honestly, alcohol. Everybody treats alcohol like it's no damn big deal. It is everywhere. Everybody drinks. It's no big deal. Just have one. It is the worst detox ever. If you have never had a bad detox, I can hook you up.
Well, some of the worst cases that were in there with me when I was there were alcoholics. I mean, by far, just really bad. Really bad.
Alcohol was my first and final love, and that shit just about killed me. It will, if you think you're not an alcoholic, give it hell trying. It will absolutely wear you out. And I think it's just so socially acceptable. It kills more people than every other illicit drug combined. If you give all the ways it kills people, it is very socially acceptable and very deadly.
Yeah, absolutely. It really is. Where would you say that most types of addiction, like where does most addiction stem from that you see? Can it just differ from person to person, or does it tend to be like a mental health thing? Or
I know it can differ from person to person, but personally, I think it all stems from trauma.
Yeah.
Somewhere or another. I really do.
Because it does. It seems like a lot of people that I was in there with, they all had some sort of trauma or some sort of mental health issue or something going on in the
Yep,
past. Or,
yep.
yeah.
It could be, I mean, it could even be like a massive physical trauma, a traumatic brain injury. Um, but it's usually some kind of psychological trauma. It could even be like ongoing trauma. People who think, nah, I mean, my childhood was fine. Maybe. I don't know. It's the gateway drug. I swear to God, it is. It is so pervasive. It is so pervasive, and we are so good at dismissing it,
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
especially if it's like the little mediocre traumas that just kind of, it wasn't that bad. Other people had it worse.
Yep.
But the worst thing that's ever happened to you is still the worst thing that's ever happened to you,
Yeah.
especially if it happened every day.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you have made a difference in probably countless people's lives. I got no doubt. Do you feel like you're able to really get through and make a difference with most people? Like, how do you feel about it? Do you feel like you break through in most cases, or
Man, Scott,
is it? I imagine it's hard.
I mean, I would love to think so. I mean, I think if I didn't think I made some kind of difference, it would be hard to show up every day. I know
Yeah.
that. I know I've been told that as a recovering addict, as a recovering alcoholic, I'm uniquely qualified, that just like you, simply by virtue of having survived my own foolishness, that they see in me a fellow traveler, and
Yeah.
that seeing that I survived, all I've got to do is, sit there and suck air, and they know, just like me and that guy in Atlanta, that it can be done.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't have to do much else. I would like to think that by saying, demonstrating, whatever, that I can make an impact. I hope I do. I really do. If they're ready, they want, to listen. If it's not me, then just being here and around, then hopefully somebody will make a difference. If it's not me, that's fine. I hope I can plant a seed. If nothing else, I hope every other drink or drug they have after they meet me sucks. I will. I do. I will settle for ruining every other. They'll just hear me in the back of their head. She said that this would never work. You're that bitch. I will. I'll take it. I will
Yeah.
take it.
Yeah. Yeah.
If I
Well,
ruin it for you, I'll take it.
absolutely. How many people that come through treatment do you think end up going on to be successful? The ones that complete it. Do you see a lot of people come back? Do you have a lot of repeat offenders?
Oh yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
we do.
because it's
We do.
hard to get it right the first time. I mean,
Yeah, they do, and I mean success. Technically, I mean I count myself a success story, but I didn't stay sober from the very
absolutely.
first time. Like
Well, yeah,
I should probably go back and tell that poor counselor that I ignored from 20 years ago, hey, I'm not still sober, but I'm sober. That poor guy. Um, I guess it kind of depends on what you count as success.
yeah. No, you got a good point there.
As long as you don't stop trying, and as long as you're not dead. Because I mean, I failed and I kept going, and I
Yeah,
failed and I kept going, and I
kept
failed,
going.
and I stayed sober for a decade, and I drank again and used again. But here I stand. Um,
And now
so
you're killing it now. You're
I
killing
mean,
it.
sure, why not? I don't feel like having a drink or a drug today. So I don't see many people who grab onto it like you have. Um, and like I feel like I have this time,
Yeah.
but and a lot of people have to jumpstart it a few times. But honestly, whatever it takes, I'd say one-hit wonders are very rare, probably about 5%.
Yeah. Well, like in my case, I know that I have to. Like I know that I have no other choice.
Yeah,
Like I'm not gonna be here if I mess up. I'm probably not gonna be here.
yeah.
So I don't have the option. And that's the way that I look at it.
I mean, and that's as good a reason as any. And I believe you, and I always have believed you when you have said that. There's
Yeah.
something to that.
Yeah. I mean, I killed myself enough times to it's just
Man,
ridiculous,
there's
man.
those opiates are no joke,
I
man.
know, it's crazy. Um, can you explain the process or first steps that someone would need to take if they were struggling? Like if they wanted to, if somebody at home right now that's watching, like if they wanted to get help, what are the first steps in doing so?
Man, that is okay. So, first thing, I hate to localize this, but the state of Tennessee
Yeah.
is amazing. So, I'll start there.
Yeah. Because they do state grants.
Yes, there are grants, and we have these things called navigators. And I
Okay.
believe that every state is getting them or some version of them. They're called navigators in Tennessee.
Uh
You
huh.
can get to them through a hospital. And even if you're at home, you can call a hospital and ask for one. And they're called Tennessee navigators, and they help people get into treatment. That's their whole job.
Oh, that's really cool.
Yeah, their whole job is to find treatment, whatever level of treatment you need, whether you need inpatient, detox, sober living, outpatient, intensive outpatient, whatever it is you're looking for. They will put you all over the state. They can put you out of state if there's a place out of state,
Yeah.
and they will help you find it, insurance or no insurance, and they will help get you there. It's their whole purpose. And it was brought about because of opiate crisis, but it's being perpetuated because of methamphetamines, because of all of it, because people are dying. And because it's very hard for people in one spot to get the resources in another spot. So they're finally making the connections, and it's wonderful.
Yeah,
So
that's an amazing thing. I didn't know about that.
yeah, it's relatively new. It's been going about 3 years now, 3 or 3.5 years.
Okay.
And it's wonderful. And so the first thing that they could do is call their ER at a major hospital, major public hospital, and
Okay.
ask if there's a navigator or some position that helps connect someone to crisis substance abuse services. Um, and if you're not in Tennessee, or if there's not a navigator system in your state,
Hmm.
then call a crisis hotline. Like here in Chattanooga, where we are, there's a crisis at Volunteer Behavioral at Joe Johnson, which is
Yeah.
really close by.
Yeah,
Every
that's where I went through.
Yeah, I went there too. They do crisis for mental health and for A&D for alcohol and drug abuse.
Okay.
Any place, every state has them. Every major city has them. And it's before COVID, the crisis even had mobile crisis. So you can look up online and see if there's a mobile crisis unit. Um,
Okay.
and that will get you to the number that you need. If you look up a mobile crisis, it will show you the crisis hotline, and that's who you would need to call. A crisis place is going to be open 24 hours a day. If they're
Okay.
not in your area, then they will tell you where you need to go in your area. They can give you a hotline to call. They can give you people to talk to. They will tell you where you need to go in your area, and that will connect you with places and people that are no cost, grant funded. If you don't have any insurance, if you do have any insurance, you'll have more options. But
Yeah. Yeah.
specifically, if you don't have insurance and you can't even think about money right now, just call
Hmm.
that, because that's usually what blocks people is they're out of money, they don't have any insurance, they lost their
Yeah.
job, whatever.
Well, yeah, like people think if they don't have insurance that they don't have any options, and that's not the truth.
It's not. That's my favorite thing about Cadis, and honestly, it's my favorite thing about this job is that we provide services to people regardless of their ability to pay. And to me, it's the best thing. You should not have to have money to get sober.
Yeah.
You shouldn't have to have money to stop doing something that's killing you. So
Hey, I got a question here from my friend Lady Fantastic Caroline.
Ooh.
She's in Nashville. She wants to know, do you think Marsha Blackburn holds some culpability in the opioid epidemic in Tennessee?
Oh, give me some context. I don't. So, little known fact. Let's see. As a congresswoman in 2014, she co-sponsored the.
Oh, sorry. I'll
Oh,
put it back up.
Yep. Go ahead. Read that back again.
Oh, here. I'll put that one
Yeah.
up. I got you.
She co-sponsored the Ensuring Patient Access and Effective Drug Enforcement Act.
Here, there's more. I'll put up more.
Yep.
Here you go.
That was written by pharmaceutical industry lobbyists, one that significantly hinders the government's ability to halt suspicious shipments of narcotics. Okay. I think I know what bill you're talking about now. So I know where you're going with that. That's a tough one for me. Her specifically, I don't know. Maybe not. Full disclosure, my soul gets chafed watching the news, so
Yeah.
I don't. I watch BBC News, very little of it, about twice a month, because otherwise I will die of sadness. So
I get it. I get it. I'm the same way.
I do. I have to keep it very limited, and I watch what they send me about, like, stuff related to my job, very little. So I know a little bit about what you're talking about, but not a whole lot. I know that what led to the opiate, that it's terrible.
Yeah.
What I know about the opiate crisis is it started on ignorance, as a lot of things do. The drug companies allowed and pushed out medications saying, no, this is fine. You can't get addicted to it. They knew damn well we could get addicted to it. They knew damn well they were addictive and how highly addictive they were. And they shoved it out for the sake of making money. And then once people started getting highly, highly addicted to it, and it was problematic, then they started dialing it back. And the government said, wait a second, you got to do something about that. And they said, oh yeah, we should do something about this. And then they started cutting off the supply. And so now people are addicted. And what are they going to do? They are going to get their fix somehow. And that's where heroin comes in and takes over for the pills that they now can no longer get. So they have a whole lot of pills on the market that they tell us are not addictive, which is bullshit. And they knew that. And they flood the market with them for some years. And now the government says, wait a second, these are addictive. You got to put a tighter control on these. Okay, we'll put a tighter control on them. And so they do. And then the supply dries up and everybody's addicted. And now they're screwed because they're hooked. And now everybody's looking for heroin. And that's where fentanyl comes in underneath it a few years later. And so that's why we got the fentanyl crisis.
Yeah, and it's killing everybody. It's in everything, and it's it's messing people up bad.
It is. And so ultimately that's who I blame, is I blame pharmaceutical companies. So they're everywhere, and the pharmaceutical companies knew what they were doing. I don't think that they foresaw all of this, but it's because I think they didn't bother to look. They were just looking for green. So
yeah, it's all about the money.
Always.
Well, I just kind of wanted to ask you this. This was something that I personally wanted to know. Do you find it typically harder to treat males or females?
Ooh, that's a good question. God, I really think that's tough.
Is that another one where it kind of just depends on the person?
It kind of does. This might surprise you. I have it's almost 50-50. It does kind of depend on the person. I'll tell you what's harder. and this might surprise you.
Okay.
I think it's harder to treat someone younger than it is older.
That makes sense to me.
Yep. I I think women or men, it just kind of depends because it depends so much on where they are in life and what
Okay.
their experience is, what their
Mhm.
circumstances are,
That makes a
mom
lot
or
of sense.
not, dad or not, age or not. But that age thing,
Yeah.
man, you give me somebody who's 25 years old, family still talks to them, no major jail time, no kids, still have all their teeth, man,
Still
they're not
have
going to
all.
hear shit. They are not going to hear shit I say.
No, you're right.
No, they're still 10 feet tall and bulletproof. They're still cute. And they don't have any, they don't have a record. They're fine. They are fine. This is all a mistake. This is somebody else's idea. This is all fine. They're going to meet their next girlfriend or boyfriend out there in the in the lunchroom, and that's
Uh,
fine. And that's fine. They'll have a seed planted for later.
yeah, they'll
Um,
be back. They will be back.
teeth be keeping you here.
Hopefully, if they're fortunate enough to
If
make
they're
it back.
fortunate.
Yeah.
Um, and I mean, I don't say that lightly, but I mean, it is the truth.
No, it is. It is.
There is a beautiful thing that happens with pain and with age
Hmm.
is that I, you'll get tired, man. You will get tired. I got tired of running into that same brick wall. I got
Yeah.
tired of not learning the same damn lesson over and over again.
Yeah.
Man, please give me a 40-year-old with 3 or 4 kids with different moms or dads for every one of them, some jail time, 3 DUIs or 2 first DUIs, and some DCS cases and no driver's license. Man, I can work with that all day long. Your ass is tired.
Yeah, nothing more to lose. They don't want to do it anymore.
No, man. I'm like, are you sick of your shit yet? Because I mean, I am. It took me all day to read your
Yeah.
file.
Yeah.
Plus, I can relate.
Absolutely.
It's tough.
But one of the crazy things that I can remember you and Mike talking to us about, or to that group that I came through about, is like this. I think this one day in class, like I can't remember if it was you or Mike, but one of you basically told us to take a look around the room, and I don't know what the exact statistics were, but basically presented statistics that like a lot of us probably wouldn't, make it and wouldn't be alive. And actually, the crazy part about that whole thing is like I literally watched that lesson play out in
Yeah,
real life in front of me. Like a
yeah,
lot of the people that I was in the class with did not make it. There's probably maybe a third of them ended up passing later on.
yep. They
And
sure
it
did,
just
didn't they?
played out in real life, like right in front of me. It's crazy. It's just, I don't know.
It makes me sad, and it's like I hate to say things like that. I still say them here and there, especially if like I need to wake some people up. But
Yeah.
and I hate that that was your experience too. They said it to me, and I had the same experience. I've still got friends that have been sober with me this whole time since I went through, but there's at least a third who are dead that I went
Mhm.
through treatment with, and
It
it's scary.
sucks, but it's true though. Like yeah, that is 100% true.
It is.
Um,
It is.
but yeah, I don't know. I always just kind of kept that in mind. And
Uh-huh.
that and the friend that was closest to me in rehab, like losing him, that just kind of confirmed that, like that's what's waiting for me if I mess
Yeah,
up again is
definitely. Definitely.
and then I think about that dude all the time. So it's just a constant reminder, just
Yep.
to stay the path.
I'm glad that motivates you like that. It discourages some people, and I don't see why. They 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 said, I mean, they told us the same thing. They're like, look to your left and look to your right, and you
That's what it
know,
was. Yeah.
it's you know, they're not going to be. One of you is not going to be alive either this time next year or in 5 years or whatever. And my arrogant ass is like, hate it for them, determined to be the one to stay alive. But that kind of attitude, though, I don't know. I think it's helpful. I'm glad they said it to me, to be honest.
Me too.
Mhm.
And maybe that's, I don't know. I hate for things to have played out that way, but I don't
Yeah,
know. It's,
me
yeah,
too.
I use it as a motivation to not go back, I guess.
Absolutely.
But
Absolutely.
you worked in the MAT. Do you still currently work in MAT?
I don't. I refer a lot of people there. It was the saddest move I had to make because I love working with MAT. I'd go back in a heartbeat.
Can you
Um,
explain the MAT program for?
yeah, I'd love to. Man, I've got a passion for this stuff because it got me sober too. So MAT is medication assisted treatment.
Okay.
It is primarily for people with OUD, with opiate use disorder. Um, One of the medications works for alcohol use disorder also.
Oh, I didn't
Primary,
know that. I didn't know
mhm.
that.
Yep, my primary is alcohol. I did opiates too. But my primary, especially this past time, was alcohol. And so that's why I did Vivitrol. But
Okay.
there are three MAT medications that are FDA approved. Cadis uses two of them. The first one, the one that we don't use, is methadone. It's been
Yes.
around a long time.
Mhm.
Methadone is pharmaceutical grade heroin. It's good
Yeah.
shit. It's very
Yeah.
clean. It is a full agonist. It does everything heroin does. Um, and the way I remember it in my head, that agonist word is it full agonist. It is the full agony. If you don't get it, it is the full agony of withdrawal. You do not want to miss
Hmm.
that dose. It's
Yep.
going to suck. The next
Absolutely.
one, it is terrible. I mean, but it keeps people from the ones who take it. It keeps them from having to do heroin. So it's cleaner. People do not tend to make an effort to get you off of it. They tend to go up in the dose over time. I'm not a huge fan, but I mean, it's better than buying bad heroin in an alley. It's better than fentanyl, that's for sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, then there is buprenorphine,
Yes.
which is
Which is the
very,
route that I went.
yeah, it is a great route. It is very, very popular these days. It is a very excellent method. It works for a lot of people. Um, it's got several routes of transmission. There's Subutex. We use that for our detox here. They can use that for pregnant women as well. That's the one with no ceiling on it. And there's Suboxone, which does have the ceiling.
Hmm.
And then Sublocade, which is still very expensive, but that's the injection, the once a month injection, which is very, very cool.
Okay.
Um, Partial agonist, it's a half block. So it halfway blocks the receptors, the opiate receptors in your brain.
Yeah.
Um, so you get like a ceiling effect. It will still trigger the opiate receptors. You still get a little bit of the narcotic effect, but it's got a limit. So you will have to detox from it if you ever come off of it or when you ever come off of it, whatever you and your doctor decide.
Hmm.
Um, but you can titrate off of it if you do decide to go down doses. You can stay on whatever dose you need. You can stay on it forever if you want to. It's up to you and your physician. It's very, very effective if used correctly. It's wonderful stuff. People are staying alive because of it. I'm a big fan.
Yeah.
And then there is naltrexone, which can be taken orally daily by a dose or as a intermuscular shot called Vivitrol. That's what
Yeah.
I took.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
it is uh, antagonist, so it just cups over the receptor entirely, so it doesn't activate it at all. It just blocks it.
Hmm.
Um, and so you don't have to detox from it. There's no withdrawal, but it still blocks uh, all the cravings. Works beautifully.
Yeah.
You can stay on it for as long as you need to. The standard is about 12 months. I know
Okay.
people who stay on it up to 3 years. It just depends on what you
Yeah.
and your doctor decide. I was on it for 8 months. Cannot explain how much it helped, and I can't describe the feeling of not having cravings because I never would have been able to imagine what that would be like. But it works beautifully and is a big help for substances like opiates, where you can be trucking along just fine and everything feels like nothing's wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And then out of nowhere, you just get knocked completely sideways
Yep.
with a craving, either because something or because nothing. And you just, your whole brain, your whole day, your whole life goes haywire.
Mm-hmm.
And for that not to happen because of medication. And that way you can focus on getting your life back together.
Yeah. And working on everything, repairing everything. And
Yep. The added benefit that usually when you're doing that, it is in combination with at least monthly drug screens, usually.
okay.
Sometimes more often, depending on your doctor or the program. Frequently, it's involved with an IOP program, intensive outpatient, or you're living in sober housing. Some kind of other interaction with a physician is going on, with other sober people, with your sober best interest in mind is happening. So you've got other things in place. There's other stuff keeping you plugged in. And so there's a network happening that keeps you focused on sobriety for an extended period of time. And so you're doing other things to build up a sober way of life, which is what
it's the medication, but it's in combination with several other things.
That's what does it. And that's what does it. It's not just the medicine, because if it was just the medicine, we would be trading heroin for pills or whatever.
Right. Yeah.
But it's while you're changing your life, you've got this medicine on board that's blocking cravings. And so you're transforming your life while you're transforming your life.
Yeah.
It works.
Absolutely.
It really is. It's magnificent. I think it's wonderful. I think everybody should do it. I really do.
What have you seen the most success out of those different medications?
I have seen the most success out of Vivitrol.
Okay.
I have seen long-term success almost equally out of both. Almost. It's starting to come up very close. Your success. There's a few others I can think of. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, I mean, and people who stay sober long term on Suboxone, that is something that Vivitrol doesn't do, and I think that is a benefit of Suboxone that Vivitrol doesn't have.
Okay.
So that is starting to be something that I'm noticing that Suboxone outweighs on Vivitrol. That people come off Vivitrol and it kind of, if they haven't really locked into a way of life, then after that year, it kind of, they dip away.
Start sliding back into the old habits and the old routines.
Exactly. And if someone's on long-term medication maintenance, then it keeps them locked in longer. And so Suboxone's got an edge that way. It really does. And I never thought that I would see that, but I'm starting to.
Because I always kind of figured that Vivitrol would have been like the preferred method if like if you guys could have recommended a way to go, that would be probably the way to go.
We have more flame outs short term with Suboxone. And I think it's because more people try to take Suboxone for the effect.
Yeah.
And that's just plain and simple. And that's to be expected, honestly.
Yeah. I mean, we're addicts.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And the nurse that we have right now, to be perfectly blunt, he is okay with that, with some people getting through and that being the case and it flaming out that way, because if it saves a life and we flame out, so be it. Okay. You know, they stayed alive and we'll recycle them and try it again. We tried Suboxone, it didn't work. Next time you got to try Vivitrol, man.
Okay.
and that's okay. You know,
Yeah.
we cycled you through. We had 3 months, didn't work. You're still alive. We
Yeah.
can get an alive addict sober.
I like that. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if you're dead, we got no chance. So,
Absolutely. Yeah.
you know, it's no harm, no foul. And I like that, because if we're too, you know, I don't want to just hand it out on the corner because it's a narcotic, but I'd rather people be doing that than out here screwing around with fentanyl. People are dying.
Any day. Any day. Yeah, for
Absolutely.
sure. Now, like another thing that you guys taught me was the importance of having structure and
Mm.
you know, maintaining structure and a schedule and staying, you know, on point with things.
Yeah.
Um, what do you think's the importance of having structure in your life and staying on a schedule?
Man, I don't know anybody in active addiction who keeps a schedule. I I love my boring life. That's what I call it anyway. I love it. Um, there is, it's the most annoying part of residential. Clients hate it. They hate the schedule. They hate the repetition. Why do we have to be up every morning? Why do we have to do this? Why do we have to make our beds? Why? I think it's because it is so important to retraining your brain.
Mm-hmm.
We need scheduling.
Yeah.
Addicts are so bad about this whole, I'm going to do what I want whenever I want, to the point that we don't get anything done. We don't eat. We don't sleep. We have no boundaries. There's no care for ourselves. None. So we don't care for ourselves at all. Scheduling, to me, the first thing that it allows for me to do is to take care of myself, which was the thing I was the worst at.
Yeah.
If I have a schedule, I will go to sleep so I can rest myself. I will eat at the same times every day, so I will feed and hydrate myself. I will be on time places so I can account for myself, that I can give my word and be held accountable by other people. It's very simple stuff, but these are things that I was never able to do when I was drunk and high.
Yeah.
But I have care for my own well-being today, and I can count on myself, and so other people can count on me.
Yes, exactly.
It's just, and I get all that just by keeping a damn schedule.
Yeah.
It's insane. Just by getting up and going to bed at the same time every day. It's wild.
And people, like, when people can depend on you, you're building up that relationship again. It's exactly.
People trust me, and it's because I show up to work every day. It's nuts. I didn't like ask them or beg them to trust me or forgive me or anything. I just show up and they do. So it's a very simple thing, and we just don't know how to do it until we start behaving like a normal human.
Yeah. See, Rob, not near me. He says, I'm a court reporter, and while there is structure to what I do, there is no set schedule. After work is for meetings and occasionally comics. Rob's a former addict like us. He's just like us. Yeah, he's one of us. So, he watches the show every week, and he's a really cool dude. I think actually I forget where he's from, but Rob's a really cool guy. Yeah.
Nice. Thanks for that, Rob. I think that, I don't know. If I didn't have work to set my schedule, I would probably still be a lot all over the place. I don't have too much structure, but it's funny. I never thought I would be the kind of person to like get up and go to bed at the same time every night. I wake up without an alarm now. It's so weird. Miami, Florida.
Miami, Florida. Okay.
Oh, nice.
Nice. Yeah. They got the good weather down there.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he brought up meetings. If someone wanted to attend a meeting for the first time, how could they go about finding one? Like, what's the easiest way to find a good meeting?
Google.
Google.
Find a good meeting. Now, see, you didn't say a good meeting the first time. So,
my bad.
No. It's fine. No, see, a meeting, I go to Google. AA.com for whatever city you're in.
Mhm.
NA is the same way. If you
Now, I
start,
was going to ask you, if they're an alcoholic, or if their drug of choice is opiates like myself,
Mhm.
um, is there really any difference in an AA meeting or an NA meeting? Do they need to specifically go to an NA meeting, or?
I mean, there's a difference in the meetings, but I always recommend to people go to plenty of meetings, go to different meetings. Hell, go to
Okay.
HA meetings, go to CA meetings, go to CMA meetings. Hell, go to OA meetings. I have self-disclosure, I've disordered eating history myself too. We haven't even gotten on that topic. So I've gone to OA meetings and ABA meetings too. If
Yeah.
they're available, if you
Wow.
qualify for them, go to the A and see where you fit in. I happen to be an AA person.
Hmm.
I qualify for tons of A's, and I've been to a lot of them.
Yeah.
There's CODA, there's Al-Anon, there's ACA, or Adult Children of Alcoholics. There's all kinds of stuff. I
Okay.
recommend going wherever you want to try and
Yeah.
staying where you feel the most comfortable. Um,
Okay.
but I I like many meetings. My home is in AA, but I visit NA here and there.
Yeah.
So I say
Well,
stay where you're comfortable, and I don't think it matters. I know addicts who've never been big drinkers who are in AA and vice versa.
okay.
So, hmm
Okay. Well, what are some things to know, going, like, if you're going into a meeting for the first time, to be prepared? What can you expect from a meeting for someone that's
cult-like
never been?
activity. Uh,
Cult-like activity. Now, that's actually somewhat accurate. I
it
would
is. It is.
but in a
It
good
feels.
way.
It is. It's a nice cult, but it's a cult. It's you don't have to talk to anybody, but people are going to talk to you a little bit. They're going to say hi. They're going to ask for any new people. You can say your name if you want to. You don't have to. They'll look at you a little bit like, "Are you going to say your name?" You don't have to, but they're going to look at you because they know you're new,
Yeah.
because they know everybody else in the room.
But I would suggest that someone, like, make yourself do it. Like,
Yeah.
try and put
Yep.
yourself out there and share your story. You'd be
Yep.
amazed at how much it helps. It helps you to share your story. I
I
don't know,
agree.
but it really does.
I agree. You'll hear readings, you'll expect people to be chit-chatting with each other, you'll expect them all to look like they kind of know each other. Um, it might be a big meeting, it might not be, anywhere from 5 to 25 people.
Mhm.
There'll be free coffee. They'll pass a basket. You don't have to put $1 in it, but you can. Um, and people will talk about stuff and it will sound probably like alien language. If you've never been to a meeting before, it'll be like, what the hell are these people talking about?
Yeah, yeah.
Um, but I mean, if you want to, like, say, I'm so and so, never been to a meeting before, they might make the whole meeting around you.
And usually they will. Like, the people there are so kind and so
They are.
welcoming, and they
If
they want you to feel welcome. They want you to,
They do. But that's also the reason why, like, if that's going to freak you right out, like, if you're like hella introverted like I am, then just don't say anything. Like, if it's going to cause you to want to fall through the floor, just act like you've been there and don't say a word, and tell somebody afterward, I've never been here before. Y'all
yeah.
seem very nice. I'll come back tomorrow. Because, yeah, if it's going to distract you when they're all talking like they're talking to you, don't tell them till afterward. But people are nice. That's the main thing, is that if you're uncomfortable, it's because of you.
Mm.
They are not uncomfortable with you there. They are
Yeah.
happy you're there. Everybody there wants to do something to help you. That is the
Hmm.
main thing to remember. If
Yeah.
you need something, ask for it. If you are hurting, ask for it. If you have something at your house that you would like somebody to go and get rid of with you, like,
Hmm.
literally, these are perfect strangers, they will go help you. I don't know how else to explain it to you. Everybody in that room wants to help you because the newcomer is the most important person in the room. Um,
Absolutely.
and you can say anything to those people and they will probably understand.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Well, what is something, what would you say to somebody that is at home and they're struggling? And I mean, we covered this a little bit earlier, but like, I don't know, what would you suggest to somebody like as the first step if they're struggling with addiction and they need help? What would be like the first thing that you would suggest to do?
Man, I think if they've got anybody that they trust, like one person, like one close friend,
Yeah.
that they trust, I would suggest they ask that friend or tell that friend that they want to get some help, and
Okay.
maybe ask that friend to help them do it, or at least tell that person, hey, I really think I need some help, and I really think I'm gonna get some help. Do you think you can help me?
Okay.
Because if nothing else, I think it's hard to do this by yourself.
Absolutely.
And if there's anybody at all in your life that you can trust, that you think will listen, a best friend, a sibling, an aunt, a cousin, a coworker, somebody who's not going to judge you, somebody who you think probably already knows.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be the person you're closest to, but it's probably somebody that you think will give you an ear, who probably already knows, who will probably drive you, come sit on your couch with you while you make these calls, while you're shaky and scared or whatever.
Yeah.
And have somebody just walk with you through the process, and then figure out who to call. Google it. Ask them if they know. If you know anybody who is sober, who used to use and disappeared from your circle, and they didn't die, they're sober. And call them. Call your crisis center. Call AA Central Office in your area. Call a place. If you need a detox, call a hospital. Figure out what step you need to take, because honestly, in your heart, you probably already know. If it's a medical detox, do it. Just get it done. And that fear of, well, I've got to figure out how to arrange all the things before I do. You don't. That's why you get the person beside you first, so they can just help you push through all that.
Yeah.
That's what I think.
It makes sense. Yeah, that makes perfect sense. Well, did you have anything else that you wanted to share or talk about?
Gosh, I'm really excited that I got to do this, honestly.
Man, I'm so grateful that that you were able to come on and hang out. Like, yeah, it's been fun, and I've only made it like halfway through the stuff I wanted to ask you. Yeah, so like we may have to commit to a part 2 one day on down the road. Like I may have to like get you to come back and hang out if you want to.
I would love it. I would.
It'd be awesome. It'd be really cool because I literally only made it like halfway through.
I told you I would talk a lot.
Yeah, no, it's been so much good information, and I'm so grateful that you were able to come hang out with us tonight. And yeah, just very appreciative.
I had a blast. This is so much fun. I could talk about recovery forever. Honestly, it is my passion. I'm living my dream. Honestly, I don't know how I got this lucky.
That's awesome. Yeah, and you're killing it. You're out there killing it every day.
I'm trying, doing my best. So are you. Look at you.
I'm trying. You know, like I'm not perfect by any means. Like I've had my fair share of fuck ups, and but you know, like I'm still here and I'm still trying and I'm still doing good overall.
Yep.
So, but
thank you so much, Scott. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Thanks for coming out and hanging out. And yeah, like I said, we'll have to work out like a part 2 for later on or something. Yeah, we'll figure that out. But guys, tune in next week. We will have, I think we got Tristan Gallagher, who is the co-creator of Rad Wraith, which is an awesome comic book, Charlotte. I know you've never heard of it, but it's an amazing comic book series on Black Caravan. Really cool creator coming on next week, and that'll be next Monday at 7:30. Thank you so much, Charlotte And I hope you have a good night, and I hope you'll come back and hang out with us again very soon.
I would love it.
And thanks to all you guys that came and hung out with us tonight and listened to us talk about some recovery. And hopefully maybe you took something from the experience. And hopefully Charlotte will come. She said she'll come back and hang out with us again. So hopefully we see her back real soon. I hope you all have a good night, and we will see you guys next time.